Luc Bouchard with Solve Act Life Coaching Services, where I specialize in men's issues. Often, when men come and talk to me about some of their problems and some of the stuff they want to resolve and goals they want to set, talking about women comes up all the time. And they want to know different ways on how to approach women, talk to women, and get a girlfriend. It's something that we all want and something we aspire to have, but we really don't know how to do it very well. So I'm going to give you some of my strategies and some of my understanding as to how men don't help themselves and how men seem to have what gets in the way of finding a woman of quality. So there's 3 different ways that men engage women, and I call them dominating space, fading into space, or holding space. And they're really about when they approach women and when they're around women that they potentially want to meet and want to date. So dominating space is really about these guys that you see that are very, they're overbearing and they're always talking about themselves and they're boasting, and they have a lot of behaviors that are really about showing how great they are. The conversations constantly come back to them and their accomplishments, what their status is, what they've done. And it's this very external, look at me type of behavior. Fading into space is the opposite of that. And it's really about withdrawing and just, you're there, but you're really not there. There is, if we were talking about women, they'd be a wallflower where they're just kind of in the background and they're not really there. And men who fade into space really don't assert themselves. They desperately want to be there and they're really hoping that they get to stay there, but they're not present. They're do a lot of agreement and they're just background in a lot of ways. Holding space is really about this idea of being present in the moment, where you are being there and you're respectful, you're engaging, you're participating, and ultimately, guys, you need to hear this, you're listening. Women complain all the time about guys don't listen. It's one of their biggest peeves about guys. And if you're going into meeting women and you want to meet quality women and you're dominating and you're not listening to what they have to say and you're always about you, they're not going to be interested in you. They're not going to continue wanting to see you. It's going to be, oh, another guy has a huge ego. When we understand what's going on with these 3 behaviors and we dissect them a bit, it's interesting to see what's actually going on with these. And dominating space and fading into space are really about the same thing. They're really about the same mode of operation, for lack of a better word, and that is they're both about protecting yourself. Because when you're dominating space, you're putting a lot of energy forward about, look how great I am, look really, it's a lot of flash, and you're talking about your accomplishments, and it's coming from a place of a good offense is a good defense. No, a good defense is a good offense. So you're really, you're getting to everyone before they can actually see you. Conversely, fading into space is also about protecting yourself. Fading into space is really kind of going to the background, not putting yourself out there, and just hoping that you get to stay there. It's really not about claiming your spot. It's more about hoping no one votes you off the island. In the middle of dominating space and fading into space is what I called holding space. And holding space is being present. Holding space is about being in the moment, and holding space is really about, I'm just here to enjoy myself. I'm here to find out what really is possible, whether or not I'm going to meet anyone interesting, if I'm going to meet anyone that tweaks my interest. And ultimately, it's really not about an agenda of trying to accomplish anything. Or if there is an agenda, it's just, yeah, I want to have a good time. and I'm not dependent on an outcome. My self-esteem won't be affected or be bruised if I don't get a number or I don't get laid, because really that's pretty shallow in many ways. We're not really happy when we do that. If that really makes you happy, then this video is not for you. So when you hold space with women, you're engaging with them from a place of equity. You're engaging with them from a place of that they're a peer. They're not someone to be conquered. They're not someone to basically taken over. And there's a lot of women, quite frankly, that want to be conquered. There's a lot of women out there that basically want to be, want the flash and want the guys that are boastful and whatnot. Those aren't quality women. Those aren't women that you're going to have, I think, a really good lasting relationship with. And again, the premise of this video is quality women. So when you look at going out and meeting women, what's your agenda? What's your point of entry? What are you trying to achieve when you go out? When you are talking about your friends and you're going to go out and your wingman or whoever's going to be there with you, or if you're going on your own, what is a successful night for you? And really you have to think about this. If you've got this agenda or this idea that an evening has to have a certain outcome for it to be successful, and you don't get that outcome, then what do you do to yourself emotionally? Do you beat yourself up? Are you tough on yourself? Do you think you're a loser? And if you're not aware of that you have this agenda or that you have this outcome in mind, well, it's tough, because what happens at the end of the night when you didn't succeed, whatever success is? What happens the next day when you are, look back on the night before and you've spent all this money and you're as alone at the end of the night as you were when you went there? Or if your agenda is to get laid, and you go and do that, sure, it feels good on the ego. I know, been there. But does it have any staying power? Does it last? And is it meaningful? Is that really somebody you want to get to know in the long run? And will they want to get to know you? You really have to ask yourself these questions when you look at if you want to meet someone of quality. And you have to take the long view, and you have to see more than just the immediacy, and look at what are you really trying to accomplish. So are you dominating space? Are you fading into space? Are you holding space? Luc Bouchard with Solve Act Life Coaching Services. My number is 780-668-8054. Call me. I would love to talk to you more about this. I do one-to-one sessions, I do group sessions, and I hold seminars on these topics. Numbers right above. Call me. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you have a great day. Bye.